I'm trying to stay calm. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. I'm doing a video today that I didn't want to do. I have other things to do, but I want to read this comment I got. And I want you to know that if I get sarcastic and you hear a side of me you haven't heard before, because you're not the only one. I'm going to take my super duper glasses because it's in small writing, and I'm going to read this to you. Tiger Heart Productions sent this. Again, you're not the only one. Thank you very much from Florida. You have given me more information than all the others I've watched. This is my first year gardening, and I chose to do container gardening. Everyone I was watching kept saying, I'm going to have more squash, that I won't be able to give it away. Really? She didn't write that. So, with the knowledge, and it's only me and my elderly mom eating it, I decided to only grow 2 squash and 2 zucchini in containers. Well, 2 months of nice size healthy leaves and plants, all loaded with blooms and no fruit. She's crying. I don't blame her, but I wouldn't be crying about that. I'd be crying about the false information. 2 weeks ago, I learned about Q-tip pollination. Okay, Q-tips. So every morning, still not knowing what I was doing, I just started swabbing all the blooms back and forth. Then I learned to tell the difference between male and female squash and zucchini. I see no bulge behind the blooms of the squash or zucchini, and I guess I have 4 male plants. She's crying. There's no plants that are males when it comes to zucchini, just so you know. But this is frustrating for you, I can imagine. Now I know I need to check earlier, but also 3 days ago, I started more seeds. Great. 6 squash, 4 zucchini, and 4 cucumbers. I only grew 1 cucumber and it's beautiful, so they didn't start. Full of blooms. I've swabbed all the blooms, still nothing. It may be too late in the season, but I'm going to try and go out before 9 a.m. Now I know what a male and what a female looks like, and I can use the male bloom to fertilize the female, and I can cross-pollinate with zucchini. Well, not the cucumbers. All right. So you are not the only one that has sent that to me. I have heard this comment that you plant 1 zucchini. You only plant 1 tomato, but we're going to stick with zucchini. I'm going to say this right off the bat. That is the craziest thing I have ever heard any gardener, anybody tell somebody to grow 1 of anything. Number 1, you don't know if the plant's going to live. I've done this for a living, so I'll just tell you this right now on different things, and it's analyzing and understanding things. Let me back up from it. I don't know why anybody tells people this false information, and it is false information. Some of it is people that are putting this information out don't know. They simply don't know. Some of it is they want you to come back and say, hey, it didn't work. It worked so good for you. What did I do wrong? They want the comments to come back, because if you're successful, you may not come back and comment, and they need that comment. The other thing is, it may not even be a real person. There was one place I looked because I kind of went through and Googled it. There's a big website. This is one of many. It looks real. People's pictures, everything. It's fake. It is completely fake. The articles aren't even signed by an author. You really have to look for things. Read through what you're reading if you're reading it, because you'll find statements with a question mark, because the AI that wrote it doesn't know if it's a question or a statement. So question marks, punctuations were wrong. Spelling will be pretty good because AI is really good at that, though it may spell certain words wrong. Did the research to find it's all fake. And the reason I know this, and it even said Amazon generated. Yeah, or something about, the point is, I know somebody very well that wrote an entire book on Amazon. And they put in what they wanted. The AI wrote it. They published it. I'm not saying anything was wrong with it. It was a beautiful book. It was just kind of sayings and different things. But the point is, he didn't write a thing. All he did was, this is what I want. This is how many pages I want. This is the way I want it. He generated it and he had a book. Well, they're doing this to websites. They're doing this to a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos out right now that are AI generated. A person is there. The Amish. The Amish don't even rarely do any videos, and yet everything is quoting the Amish. Throw that out. Start thinking about what you're told, because you're told something that's not true, or it's completely AI generated and you don't know it and it looks real. Oh my gosh, Gary and I sat down and watched a video on something. We thought it was so real until all of a sudden it went sideways. And we looked at each other because we knew the topic so well, and we went and researched it, and even though it looks so real, it was completely fake. Completely. I don't even want to get into it. When you are gardening, you have to understand plants are very delicate. So if somebody tells you to plant 1 or even 2, I plant 10. But even, let's get really serious. Let's go ahead and let's plant a decent number. When it comes to zucchini, you do need a male and female flower to pollinate on the same day, at the same time. Now, generally, all your flowers on zucchini will open early in the morning. As the sun comes up, you'll see the flower, and then all of a sudden it opens up to a big, beautiful flower. And pretty much by about 11 o'clock, depending on the heat, the temperature, the flower closes. Now, during that time, you need to pollinate it. Now, I don't know about Q-tips. You can use whatever you want, but I use a really soft, very small makeup brush. I like something with small, fluffy bristles, because you can get into the male flower that has no fruit on the stem, and you can grab that pollen from 1 to 10 male flowers. You can go through all the male flowers and collect pollen if you want. Put it in a little cup. Everything dry. Your brush should be dry, and your plate or cup should be dry. Collect all that pollen and then go ahead and do all your females. Now, why do I say collect all that? You only have 1 plant. Don't ever do 1 plant. I would say to get a decent amount of fruit, you should have 4 to 6 plants. I've got a friend, her name's Maria. It's pretty much just her, but it is her good friend. They plant together. So I called her when I went to do this, because I knew she's been planting and she's really big in the garden. How many zucchini plants did you plant? She's kind of said, well, like maybe she thought she didn't do enough. I did 2 6-packs. 12, 1 each. Yep, 12 zucchini plants. How many cucumbers? Same thing, 12 plants for 2 people. Really 1, but let's say 2. The articles that are coming out everywhere tell you to plant 1 to 2 plants for 2 people because you're going to get 60 pounds of fruit. Baloney. Let me just say this right now. You want to pick them small, and I know I've got some out there that are literally that big, because I've got a bunch of plants out there, and I'm not pulling the zucchini as fast as I want, but that's okay. I'm going to go out there and get that big one. I'm going to put it in my food processor, because normally I love to hand grade. I'm not going to hand grade it. I'm going to chop it up, put it in the food processor, grate it up, pack it in plastic bags, freeze it, and I'm going to have it all winter. People are worried about who they're going to give it to. She gives a lot of hers away. And some people say, I don't have anybody to give it to. You don't have to. If you don't have anybody to give it to, you take those zucchini plants, fruit, that you ended up with 60 pounds of plant, and you go ahead and you chop them up and throw them in a bucket and forget about them till next year. You have made the best compost for your plants for either this year or next year. I'm chopping them up now. Some of them get kind of funky looking. I don't like them. Chop them up. Put them in a bucket. Just sit the bucket somewhere, holes on the bottom, water it, throw some dirt on top, and it's going to turn into the greatest soil. The reason I get aggravated when I read this is it's false information. You really should get a 6-pack. And they tell you you need a 3 by 3 square foot area to plant 1. They do get massive. And that's true. I do 1 zucchini plant, generally, in an 18-gallon tote. That's not that. It's like 18 inches by 24 or whatever. I have 2 right now in 1, and they're doing beautifully, and I'm getting a bunch of fruit off of 2 plants in there. As long as you've got food in there for them, and the food I get for my plants is half of my totes have leaf matter from other plants. I just go ahead, take everything off I don't want, and I fill up the tote halfway with all kinds of stuff, kitchen scraps, whatever, then I throw whatever soil I've got on top, and then I plant my plants. You've seen a lot of my videos. All that matter underneath, they say you can't grow in it. There's another false information, is absolutely false, because I'm trying to compost a whole bucket right now, kitchen scraps, and it's growing peppers and tomatoes and everything in there. In the matter itself, with not a bit of soil in there. Nothing. The point is, I've got everything on that bottom that is breaking down as the plant is growing on the top part of the tote. And by the time it sends its roots out, if it wants that matter, it's there. And the microbes and the earthworms, if you don't have earthworms, the microbes will break it down and they will get to it. I've had people from Australia, and generally it seems like it's either brand new gardeners, because a lot of us old timers already know we're planning what we're, what to plant, or beginners or older people that are just starting, and they get frustrated, they get upset, and they walk away. I don't want you to walk away. There is no reason in the world to walk away from gardening. The most natural thing for a plant to do is to start to grow, produce flowers, and get pollinated and produce fruit. That is the most natural, but we are living creatures. Everything is living, and things do happen. It could be just a bad plant that's not growing right. It could be the soil isn't right. It could be when you transplanted, it got damaged. Maybe a bug bit the side of the plant and it got a little bit of something in it and the plant's going to die back. Nature's not perfect, and nature is perfect. Let me stop. It is perfect, because when a whole bunch of plants are growing and one goes sour and dies back, that becomes new compost, which I call soil. It's not meant for everything to grow, is what I'm trying to say. Plants are meant to produce compost. This plant growing here is going to make compost one day, no matter what. Even with the leaves that are dying back on it, makes compost. You can't depend on one plant, be it a zucchini or the old saying, plant one tomato plant and you'll get 40 pounds of tomatoes. Only do one. That's baloney, because you could lose the plant. You could lose it to the weather. You could lose it just for people call it a virus, a bug, a rodent, your dog, you stepped on it. You forgot to water it. Anything can happen. You always, when you're starting off, always want to get more than one plant. And if you stick to the stuff that you like, you're not going to plant 10,000 things around your property because you want to plant all these things. You plant what you like. My big thing is zucchini. Yes, I planted a lot, I've got a lot, and that's good. I would much rather have more than not enough. And if you don't have enough, it kind of goes even more sideways, because when they start to throw flowers, you need to have a male and a female at the same time. You really can't save that pollen. You can try it, but generally it's all dried up. It's not right, and the plant itself won't take it in. And you've got to go ahead, and if you don't have a lot of bees, and I don't rely on my bees, you've got to hand pollinate if you really want zucchini, and it'll only take you a second. You go out with your brush, find your male flowers, collect that yellow pollen. Some flowers, I have noticed, don't have any pollen, especially if you grew the seeds yourself. I've got some of the ones that I saved back from my own seeds. Male sterility. I went in there and there was no pollen in any of the male flowers, so keep that in mind. But you want to collect the pollen, and then you want to go pollinate them early before the flower closes up. Now once the flower closes up, if you missed it, I have torn it open, I have gotten in there, put a little bit of pollen, but I will tell you what will happen. Let's call it tentacles. We don't need all the scientific names. If the pollen gets on the flower inside, it's got a whole bunch of areas where the pollen has to get in there and get into the flower itself, and then get into the base where the fruit is. You'll see that little tiny little fruit. Once the flower closes up, these start to dry out. It's not really going to accept anything anymore. Think of it as tubes, and the tubes are starting to shrink. So you're putting pollen in there, but it's already 10 o'clock and the plant has closed up the flower. It may not go down all the little tubes it's supposed to go down. Sometimes it might get a little bit down there. You'll see your squash start to grow, and then it just stops. It just didn't get pollinated correctly. But you can eat that. If you see it starting to go yellow and it's already about that big, pick it, grate it up, put it in some eggs. I think the big thing I want you to know is if you want zucchini, plant at least 4. And the easiest thing for you is to plant them together. It doesn't have to be in the same container. It can be near the same containers. If you keep it in the same area, when you take a walk outside to check on your plants, you can go ahead, see, oh, there's a male flower, there's a female flower, grab the pollen. If you've got more than one male flower, grab from different male flowers, then go back to the female and get in there and really dust around the inside bottom. Dust really good with the brush. The Q-tip tends to hold the pollen. It really sticks to the Q-tip. It's meant to clean your ears. It's meant to clean and hold. A brush is a paintbrush. You're putting paint onto a canvas, right? You're using it to pick up and then you're painting. It will release easier than anything, the bristles. A Q-tip won't release sometimes. It kind of grabs too much. So I prefer a brush, but if you're doing good with a Q-tip, go ahead and use a Q-tip. Zucchinis right now are not male or female plants. That is something like kiwi. There's other plants, the one that Gary grows, jackfruit. You need a male and a female. Not zucchini, but there are times that the weather's not right. They do like the weather warm, so sometimes they'll only throw male flowers because they're not quite ready. And sometimes I think they're testing the environment. I've really done a lot of thought on that and research. So if your plant is throwing a ton, your zucchini, that's all we're talking about really today, of male flowers, go out there with your brush and brush the male flowers. Then go wash your brush and put it away. Make sure it's dry when you use it to pollinate. Now, why do you do that? You're telling the plant, oh, there's bees here. Something's gonna pollinate me if I throw female flowers. Look, I feel the bees in there. I think you can stimulate the plant sometimes that way. The other thing is compost tea. But I think that gives a little bit of a stimulation to the plant and it knows, wait a minute, I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm gonna throw some females next time too. So sometimes that can stimulate your zucchini or squash plant. Now, one more thing I wanna talk about too is if you're growing squash and they're throwing flowers and you're growing zucchini, you can cross-pollinate your zucchini with the squash. It will still look like a zucchini. It will be perfect, but if you collect those seeds, you're gonna get a haywire plant. You're not collecting seeds anyways, we've talked about that. I mean, you can try it, but you're not gonna get really zucchini from zucchini anyways. But you can cross-pollinate those two, it's the same family. You can't do cucumber with zucchini, but you can do any zucchini with any squash. So please, please, if somebody tells you something and it doesn't sound right, I want you to think about it. Think about you going home and planting, even on this deck here, I've got three zucchini growing right now on the deck, but even that's not enough, and I gotta run to the garden sometimes to go find a flower for a female flower that opened here on the deck. Please analyze who's telling you this. I've got some of you coming in and saying, oh, I watched this great Amish guy do all this gardening. It was unbelievable. Gary went and looked it up. It was all AI. Don't tag that stuff and show the people to watch them because it's fake. It's not real. They're generating this by what is commonly asked on the internet. And if you ask it to write something, and if 20 people said basil tastes like ice cream, eventually AI is going to tell you, by the way, basil tastes like ice cream, because there were so many people that wrote that. You need to step back and really analyze who is telling you this, where you got the information from, and does it even sound right to you? Now, amateurs, new people are going to have a hard time with that. I understand that. But I think I use the word common sense is the most important thing. Don't do one plant. One of these other things I looked up that I know a lot of you are looking into showed an entire garden for 1 to 2 people. And what did it show? 1 kale, 1 zucchini plant, 3 lettuce, and then one tomato. I might have said that. 1 cucumber. So I went back because this was a real person, and they put the whole thing out there for people to see on their website. I went to see their garden for them, for her and her husband. She looked like she had a farm. She had 20 cucumbers growing and 10 zucchini growing, a whole field of all the stuff that she mapped out on a little thing what to grow for one person. Baloney, because there's so many times something can happen to those one plants. I am not a one person in any way unless you don't have a choice. You only have one plant, only one made it. Then you baby that thing to the best of your ability. But if you are going out to buy plants in the nursery, buy a 4 or 6 pack at least. I am going to next year do an entire row, which I'm kind of doing now too, of just zucchini. So I don't have to be running around from one end of the yard to the other looking for my male zucchini flower to pollinate a female. I want everything in one spot. So I don't have to go looking, everything there. This is what you want. And if you do it the way I'm telling you, and I'm real, I am not AI, you can't lose. You get multiple plants growing, no less than 3, and that's not even that good, but no less than 3 if it comes to zucchini. And I guarantee you, you will get zucchini if they start growing. You won't have to contact me saying they're all males. I told you what to do. Go out there and start dusting those male flowers to give the plant the signal that there are pollinators around. Let's get going and let's produce some female flowers. That will do it. And make sure that you've got them all ready with your brush to scoop out that pollen to pollinate another plant. Now, if you're growing your own seeds and you saved them from a zucchini or a different squash, if they're no good and they're one of those designer seeds that are sterile, then you're going to end up noticing there's no pollen in some of those flowers, and that is a problem. You can pollinate the female flowers, I found out on these, and you will get a fruit. Even if you kept your own seeds, it may not look like a zucchini, but they're really good. They kind of look kind of odd. They could be in lime green or yellow or kind of funky looking, but they taste really good, and I'm making zucchini patties and everything with them. But you will need male flowers from a true zucchini or something you bought to pollinate the female. But the male flowers, a lot of them I found don't have pollen. Not all, but a lot. So please, I'm not angry. I think your question was wonderful because you are not the only one. I literally have gotten dozens and dozens and dozens of those comments I read through, how you failed because you only planted 1 plant, how you planted 2 plants, how you were told not to overdo. You have to hand pollinate in the afternoon. No. All these things are false. Pollinate in the morning. Get yourself more than 1 plant. Try to do at least 4. Don't worry about an overabundance. You're not going to be sitting in your backyard with zucchini in 25-foot piles in your yard not knowing what to do with it, because you would know what to do with it if you watch me. You'd cut those things up, throw them in buckets, and let them compost down. You would have the richest soil in probably your city by having all that matter that you grew and you couldn't eat decomposing beautifully and making the best soil that you can use this year if you need to. I'm doing mine. So I'm not angry. Not at all. I'm upset for people, and it is people, giving out false information to newbies that are coming in wanting so bad to garden. And when they feel they've made a mistake, which you have not, then you quit. That upsets me. Don't quit. Do a lot of research. Analyze who you're looking at, because so many of them out there now are AI. So many of them are giving you false information. And if they're telling you 1 plant, go back and look at their garden. Do they have 1 plant? Because one of them I looked at had a farm in a small area, literally packed in all their plants growing, and they're telling people to grow 1 plant. Maybe that's the way the Amish do it. With that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow, and get growing now. It's not too late. We can grow. I grow lettuce all year long. I grow a lot of stuff. Yes, I'm in Southern California, Zone 10A. But the point is, you can manipulate these plants. You can manipulate your yard deck. Easy to do. We may not be able to grow everything, but I'll tell you, we can grow a lot. Bye-bye. Oh, I hope I didn't sound too angry. I'm not angry. I am angry. Why do people give people false information? That's how I got started in all this right in the beginning. Okay, you're growing stuff in here I don't want, so out you go and back in you go. What is that? Compost. Now, where do I want to put you? I'll put you here. Nobody's going to eat you. Nobody eats basil. Dog doesn't eat basil. Oh my gosh. 1,000 lettuce. Talk about an overabundance of lettuce. I love it. You think I'm kidding? This is only one tray. All romaine lettuce. You know what? I don't think I can grow too much lettuce.